My Fault London came out February and I'm just now hearing about it. I saw the movie, let's go and review it.
What the hell are you doing to me?
If you don't know me, I'm Penelope and welcome to my channel. I do reviews of books, movies, adaptations of movies from books, as well as Korean dramas, Chinese dramas. I sing. So if you're new here, welcome and thank you for watching. As I was scrolling through my Prime account, I noticed there was a new movie called My Fault London. If you guys have seen my other videos, I have already done a review on the original movie adaptation for the original book by Mercedes Ron. Now, I did not know there was another adaptation to the book that just came out this year. I did hear something about it, but I feel like it wasn't big enough. Okay, like there was not a whole lot of promotions to the movie, so I guess it passed me by. But I saw the movie and I want to go ahead and do a review, movie versus book, to see how similar the two are. And if you are new here and you don't know about My Fault, there is a book. The movies are based on the original books written by Mercedes Ron. The first copy, My Fault, this has been my favorite series. Everybody knows that. I have made reviews about it. And a third movie from the original cast is coming. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about My Fault London. From the title, you can definitely tell that they were trying to take a different approach to the book. So I was trying to keep my mind open the entire time I was watching the movie. However, the movie critics do say that the movie is based on the novel, right? So it's really hard to disconnect and try to like think of it as a separate independent movie, because the names are the same, the characters are the same, the plot is very similar, but I won't say it's the same. In the beginning of the movie, it starts basically the same. Noah is moving to a different place because of her mother's new marriage. However, instead of moving from Canada to California, she is moving from Florida, Miami, Florida, I believe, to London, which is a crazy change. They also show the boyfriend, Dan, and the best friend, and they focus a whole lot on that at the beginning of the movie. They do spend about, I want to say 10 minutes on this, and it's kind of interesting because we don't really hear a whole lot about it in the book. Now, what I found interesting was how they put Noah to have a strong interest in surfing and adrenaline throughout the movie. I don't think that is true, because in the book she's pretty much traumatized with everything that has happened with her father. So I thought it was kind of interesting how they decided to take a turn on that. I don't know. What I did like about the cast was the fact that they decided to do an interracial love. I think that's how you say that. I'm sorry guys, I'm Hispanic, okay? I'm Dominicana. Anyway, I did love that. Nick is handsome and he looks nice. What I did not like was the introduction to Nick. I was expecting a little more, to be a little more of a surprise, even to us, even though we already know who Nick is, you know, and how the story is supposed to go. Another thing that I didn't find personally as impressive was the Leicester's house. In the original cast, you can see that the Leicester's house is like a mansion, all right? It's like the top of the rich of the rich. So I had high expectations for how the house was gonna look, because in the original movie, you can see that they got a spa and a sauna, and then they got a garage, a huge garage full of expensive cars, and the house has I don't know how many bedrooms. Like, I was expecting a little more, but then again, it is London. I've never been to London, all right? I have been to California, but I've never been to London. So maybe I was like, it may be the culture, you know, things over there are a little different. The houses are built different structures, different sizes. I was trying to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but honestly, it was not giving rich like it's supposed to. In the first part of the book, you know that they're supposed to go to dinner, a family dinner actually, to get to know each other, to see, because Noah doesn't know Nick, you know what I'm saying? So the parents are like, you know, let's go out as a family. and let's go ahead. I don't know what happened, but they decided to have a whole event, which I found weird, I guess, because events were not happening right away, and if they were, a lot of the times the parents would go by themselves. I don't think the attire that they picked for Noah would have matched her taste like it is in the books. Noah is not big on showing skin because of the scar that she has, a whole thing. But then again, this is my personal preferences and opinion, and it is based on the original book. So I'm trying to compare the two and let you guys know how different this My Fault London really was compared to the original writing. They also introduced characters that I had no idea where they were coming from. Jones, I don't even know who that guy is, and Zach from the valet parking dude, I don't know who that was either. Jones played a part, very small part, and then I never saw him again. And then Zach was really important to the story for some reason. So I have no idea who that dude is, but he was in the movie quite a bit of time, and he played an important part when it came to Noah's kidnapping as well. So after this party or whatever was happening there, Nick ends up taking Noah to the house like it happens in the book. They're on their way. Nick's car though in this movie is gorgeous. I want that car. Did like that. It is a Porsche. No, it's not. It's not a Porsche. It's a really nice car. So Nick is like, yo, I'm gonna take you home because my dad told me, just like it happens in the books. And they're on their way there, and they're supposed to get into this argument, right? This fight, and Noah gets a little too personal to Nick's situation with his mother, and she don't know anything about that yet. Nick gets upset and kicks her out the car. So in the first movie, this actually happens. You know, they have a little bit of an argument, and things get really tense. Nick gets upset and was a jerk, to say the least. But in this movie, happened a little differently. I think Nick wasn't as mean as it is in the books, because in the books, Nick is the worst of the worst, to put it that way. He is a softie at heart. However, he treats Noah like garbage. So they had this fight, which wasn't really a fight to me. He got upset out of nowhere. The argument didn't look that big of a deal. If you watch the original movie though, you can tell that what Noah said and how she said it was deserving of being kicked out of the car. In this instant, it wasn't. He was a gentleman just like any British man. I hope that wasn't rude. You guys know what happens then. She ends up at a party. Zach from the valet parking apparently picks her up because Nick sends him, which doesn't happen in the book. She's picked up by someone who ends up being her friend in the book and in the original movie. Anyway, she gets to the party and it's sort of like the original. I just feel like it was more toned down. Instead, it wasn't as hyped as the original. And Nick is shirtless and kissing women. Was he kissing women on this one? I feel like he wasn't kissing a lot of women like the first movie. So there were no bandanas. There were no talk about the illegal stuff that is supposed to be happening. There's nothing, guys. Like, I wasn't sure how they were gonna end there. They talked about fighting and racing cars here and there, but there was no division like you see in the books, because they have gangs, you know, they got gangs. That's what's going on. But in this movie particularly, there were no such thing. So I was like, how exactly this is going to be a problem? Someone handed Noah a bottle, and the bottle was drugged with something, and she ends up drugged. Just like it happened in the book. So they took, I would say they took details from the book to do this movie, because it was no following the storyline in the book at all. Now in the first movie, we see that Noah is introduced to Jenna and Lion in the first party, but this doesn't happen in this movie. They were introduced by the second party, which is the racing party, I guess, the car racing situation. I don't know, whatever it's called. But by the way, there was no transition either in the movie. I felt like it was a little vague how they put Noah to end up going with Nick to this race that she know nothing about. Like, it was not talked about, and she randomly appeared in the garage and said, "I'm coming with you." And I'm like, where are we going exactly? And I felt like it was rough. Like, there was no transition to get there. Like, please, you guys could have at least done something. But no, they did not. So they end up at the race, and that's where she meets Jenna. I do want to say this. I am so happy because they actually portray Jenna how it is described in the books. Jenna is supposed to be dark skinned with beautiful long braids, and that had not happened in the first movie. They put her with curly hair instead, which is fine. I can overlook it, but it was really nice to see one of the characters completely come to life. Lion was a surprise to me as well. He's very different from the first movie, and I honestly, guys, cannot remember how he was described to be in the book. I'm gonna go back and read it and let you guys know, because I'm gonna be doing a review of the third movie when it comes out in October of this year, if you guys didn't know. That was a quick commercial. So they are at the race, and she willingly gets in to compete with Ronnie, which also does not happen either in the books or the original movie, because it's supposed to be a mistake. And she gets in the car and she raises Ronnie, who, by the way, is obsessed and crazy and psychotic, which I think he is kind of all those things in the book. Before anyone gets upset, I did not forget about the first kiss, so let's talk about it. I do want to say that this kiss was way better than the first movie. I do want to say that. I felt the tension, I felt the attraction, I felt everything. I was like, oh my god, it was so sexy. It honestly was. I was shocked. Like, I thought that they at first I felt like they didn't have any chemistry, but they build it up, and I love that. It is an enemies to lovers after all, and they're supposed to be step siblings, so it's a little awkward, and they do portray that in the movie, so I love that. Now, that first kiss was everything. I think in the first movie it was okay. It came out to be rough and without emotions, but in this movie they served that first kiss right. So I am really happy about that. That right there saved almost the whole movie, because I was a little disappointed by here. I don't want to tire you guys out. The movie is very different from the books. There were a lot of things that I did not understand why they decided to put in the movie, because it is clearly shown in the book that if things were this different was for a reason. So for example, I don't think the actress portrayed Noah's traumas as I had hoped, because she is traumatized. In the first movie, I believe that the actress did an amazing job of portraying how traumatized she really was. After the race, you know, people start fighting each other, and she falls to the floor, puts her hands on her head, and starts to have like a full-on panic attack, and is taken back to that moment where her parents were always fighting in front of her, and she is having those flashbacks. But in this movie, I felt like the actress did not really show how traumatized Noah is supposed to be. You know, she was just standing there and she was hyperventilating a little bit. Nick asked her what happened, and he noticed, and those details are really cute. However, I wish that it would have been done better. Not to say that she's not a good actress, guys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this particular situation and this particular characteristic, it was not done or executed as I had hoped. As a viewer myself, who knows the book and has seen the original movie in its original language. Another thing that I completely missed about the movie was the fact that they did not use Noah's nickname at all. Freckles is Nick's signature for her, and it is mentioned throughout the entire book. That's how he calls her Freckles, because she has a lot of freckles. Yes, the actress that played Noah in this movie did have a lot of freckles, but it was never mentioned. He noticed, and I did see in the first scene when they met in the kitchen, that he was, looking at her face, but it was never brought up. There was no dog either. Where was the dog? Like, the dog is supposed to be there. He was really important to their first meeting as well, and they completely left that out. Ronnie became a really important part of this movie. He is important in the first movie as well, because he's always trying to complicate things for Noah and Nick. However, in this one, it made it look like Ronnie was extremely obsessed with Noah to a point of being psychotic. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Nick ends up fighting Ronnie instead of, just fighting for fun. Ronnie was just psychotic. He was crazy. I'll give you guys that. That actor did his job. I was like, I'm scared for my life, and I wasn't even Noah. Another thing was Maddie. Maddie was bigger than she's supposed to be portrayed. Nick meets his mother, which I was like, what? Nick hates his mother. He cannot see the sight of her. So I was like, wow, you guys really just went there. You guys put her in his face. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, so this is very different from the books. And honestly, it was disappointing. They made up the story that the mom was an alcoholic and left Nick when he was little, and I was like, okay, we can talk about that too. Which that's not exactly what happened, but that's how they portrayed it in the movie. They do show Nick being distant and withdrawn towards her, which is of course how it is, although the Nick in the books would never even come near her. Also, I did see the difference of school, and I'm guessing age, because Noah is not in school in this movie. She's supposed to go to college, I believe. And I was like, oh, okay. But I think that is a culture thing, because Mercedes Ron, if I am not mistaken, she's from Spain. And as a Hispanic myself, I understand that the difference in age is not a very big thing in our countries. So in the movie for My Fault in London, they put it a little different. And I believe that Noah is supposed to be starting college instead of ending her senior year of high school. And I was like, okay, that's cool too. But they did not focus on school at all. We didn't get to see her on her uniform, or Nick looking at her and teasing her about it either. I didn't feel like Nick had a whole lot of backup when it came to friendship. We know that in the books, as well as in the first movie, that Nick is supposed to be like this with Lion, okay? They are like brothers. And I didn't see a whole lot of their brotherly vibe. I did miss that in this movie. I wish they would have included that. I also did not see a whole lot of friendship between Noah and Jenna. Maybe it's a culture thing, because in Spain they're very, very close. Like, friendships are like family to them. So it was very different. Let's talk about Nick and Noah's first time. It was not as good as I wish it would have been. In the first movie, we see that they have their first time outside at the beach, and it's all cutesy and stuff. This did not happen in the book though. In the book, Noah and Nick have their first time in Noah's bedroom, I believe. And it is, they're by themselves in the house. The parents are not there. I think they are out for business, which it doesn't matter. The thing is that they're not there. But in this movie particularly, they did decide to, have them do it in the house instead of outside, which I understand. But I did not feel a whole lot of chemistry in the first time. I feel like it wasn't special or emotional in any way. It didn't feel like it should have, or at least like it was portrayed in the books. So I was disappointed in that, guys. Let's go down to Noah's kidnapping, which happens when she is at a spa with her mom. And I really don't care how she gets kidnapped because it's besides the point. The point is that she gets kidnapped. So Ronnie, like I said, Ronnie is obsessed with the side of Noah and Nick, and I believe that he just wants to hurt Nick. It's not even about that Nick decided not to compete, but it's more towards, you know, I just want to hurt Nick because he ruined my reputation. There was guns and knives. Nick got stabbed trying to save Noah. I was like, so they just did whatever they wanted to do. That's okay. They made it more action. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, in my opinion, I think it should have been a little less aggressive. Noah ends up racing Nick just like it happened in the first movie, but this does not happen in the books. And in the racing, she ends up hitting Nick. His car rolls like a billion times down the freaking road. He's stabbed and now he's wrecked. But he saved her though. He did. He saved her. But he was beat up. So I don't really know. I guess a win is a win. With all of this, there were a lot of moments that I did enjoy, like their connection, their friendship. I did see a growth within the relationship compared to the beginning all the way to the end, just like it happened in the books and just like it happened in the movie. I do wish they would have kept a lot of the details of the original story because it is still based on the novel. So why make a movie called My Fault and then do whatever you wanted to do? I don't know. I would say for me personally, again, this is my personal review and opinion, it's a 7 out of 10 movie. It is still worth watching, but if you have seen the original movie and if you have read the books, you will find this movie particularly to be lacking in the details that you may want to see. Same thing with the first movie. I think still the original cast did an amazing job at portraying the characters in a way that would be similar to what we have seen in the books, what we have read. The Nick that was in My Fault London was very submissive in my opinion. He was not as harsh, or he was not as mean, to say the least, as in the books or as in the original movie. He was in love with Noah the second he saw her, which is okay. It's just it did not do great comparing it to what we already know. Like, we know Nick, you know. So if you've read all 3 books, you know that Nick doesn't end up being this softy until maybe the second book. And not even, I will say, in the 3rd book. That's when we really see Nick be vulnerable and, you know, not be this tough macho that he thinks he is. So in conclusion, I would recommend the original movie to be watched if you're looking to see an adaptation of the original book by Mercedes Ron, My Fault. Otherwise, if it's only for entertainment and you're not interested in reading the books, I believe that My Fault London, it is still a good choice. In my opinion, the first original cast did a really good job portraying the characters and making them just like the books. It was really nice to see that our characters that we read came to life, and that's what I enjoy about the first movie. I do, however, understand that the original movie was made in Spanish and not in English like My Fault in London. So it is really up to you guys. A 7 out of 10 to me. The original movie is like a 9 out of 10 in my books. So I will leave it up to you guys to decide. Like I said at the beginning, I will be reviewing the 3rd movie and comparing it to the 3rd book, which I have already done. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead and check it out. But the 3rd movie is coming out. I'm really excited to see what they got because I was really disappointed on the 2nd movie compared to the storyline of the 2nd book. But Our Fault is coming in October of this year and I cannot wait. So if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments. If you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe. But I will see you guys next time.